Have you heard about Coloma board game on Kickstarter? In this video, we'll talk about Coloma and a couple of previously released by Final Frontier Games, Robin Hood and the Merry Men, and Rise to Nobility coming up. Hi everyone, hope you're well. It's Stella from Meeple University. Welcome back to my weekly tabletop diary. Today I'm joined by Tarrant.
Hello.
Our passion is to bring you a variety of quality board game videos. On our channel we do a lot of overview, how to play, playthrough and vlog, just like this one.
So if you're new here, I'm glad that you found us and please consider subscribing to our channel.
Well, before we talk about Coloma, let's retrace back to Rise to Nobility. So this is actually the second game that I've played. The first one was Cavern Tavern.
Cavern Tavern, the first one they released. This
Yep.
was the first one we played of theirs.
That's correct. So let's talk about Rise to Nobility. It has got a few characters from Cavern Tavern.
Yep, set in the same universe.
Yeah. So what do you think of Rise to Nobility?
I mean, we've played it 4 times now, I think.
Something like 4 to 5 times. That's quite a lot because we usually play one game and move on to the next.
Yeah, it took me a couple of plays to come around to Rise to Nobility.
Yeah.
I think but definitely after the first play in which I got destroyed, it certainly left me thinking for a while, and it's quite. What I eventually came to realize was it's very pure engine build.
Is it though? Is it an engine build or is it efficiency? It feels a bit more like efficiency.
It's got a lot of efficiency. Yeah, it's a combination of a game of efficiency and building an engine.
Yeah.
If you don't... it's a 10-round game, and that first time we played it, I basically knew I was coming last after 3 or 4 rounds.
Yeah.
Because I'd taken a couple of steps in the first couple of rounds, which simply weren't going to generate very much for me. I just fell a long way behind everyone else. And,
I feel like I think, what was that, the winning strategy was just trying to... Well, I guess it is a bit of engine building where you just trying to build those buildings in the spot so it generates income every turn.
Yeah, it's striking a careful balance between your money income and your goods income.
I remember money was tight. I think that's what happened to you as well. Money was a bit tight, so that was a bit hard.
Yeah. So I think it's, after having played it that first couple of times and seen how it works, it's a good game, and it's very naturally a tight game.
Yeah.
Because there's no single big hit of points that's going to suddenly rocket you away. Everything builds up gradually through the game. There's
some good points there in the Stone Council's area, but then again it takes away your reputations. Yeah. So that's kind of like balance it all. You can't just go there and then try to get the points, which happens usually towards the end of the game. Everyone is trying to get the tiles from the Stone Council's area, of course, you would imagine. But yeah, that's kind of like you have to accumulate and then building up towards that end, that particular escalations that actually just gets you really have to think about, where do you want to stop getting that in-game bonus and then start towards the victory points.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing with this game for me is that it's tougher than most to play with people who've never played it before and have a competitive game.
Yeah.
Because you really need to have seen it, and you need to know how it all clicks together.
Yeah.
And the couple of times we've played and taught it to groups who didn't know it and then played, I think we've generally won those.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's.
I don't remember winning. I remember you winning after that. I think.
I think we've split the games of it, but yeah, okay. It's tough from that perspective. It's definitely got a learning curve.
Yep.
if you waste those first 3 rounds. That's
Yeah.
why I call it a pure engine builder. Any
Okay,
game
yeah.
where if you do your first 2 or 3 rounds
Yeah.
incorrectly
Yeah.
and get something that you're not going to constantly pay back on,
Yeah.
um,
Your game's
and
pretty
you
much
can't come back from that.
destroyed.
That's,
Okay.
yeah.
So it feels like maybe you would think it lacks a little bit of some catch-up mechanics, perhaps?
It certainly, yeah, it doesn't have... It has no obvious catch-up.
Yeah.
You've
yeah.
got to be in from the start.
Yeah.
What it does have is a short variant,
Yeah.
which is probably a good way to start with players who haven't played before, because it really... It averages out the first couple of turns of engine build for you and gives you a little bit of a kickstart so that you're not...
Do you want to explain quickly what that brings to the game?
I think it shortens it from 10 rounds to 7, and I think it just gives you a little bit... It gives you a couple of meeples to start with, so you don't have to earn those first couple of meeples to put out on the board into locations. Basically, it gives it to you and lets you choose the engine a little more easily from the start.
That's right, yeah. I remember loving the components as well, the little components that we've got, the deluxe edition.
Yep.
Just was it the little axes and...
little axes and chairs and... It wasn't cheese. We always called it cheese.
Yeah.
It's actually good jewellery.
Jewellery, yeah. That's right, yeah. Like a wedge.
Yeah, a wooden yellow gem shape.
Yeah.
But it also kind of looked like a ball of mozzarella, so we called it cheese.
And the artwork is really, really good. So I believe all of these 3 games that we're going to review today is created by the same artist.
I believe so, yes.
The Miko.
The Miko.
Which is really good. I kind of like starting to recognize if the Miko does the artwork. It's like, oh yeah, that's by the Miko. Just like that.
Yeah.
No always. So that's Rust Nobility. Really good. I really like this game. And the expansion is coming out. They was in Kickstarter, but they're getting fulfilled. So we haven't actually had a chance to play that one yet. And so we're moving on to the next one. The second last one is...
Robin Hood and the Merry Men. So this is the semi-cooperative game that with cooperative mode, but primarily semi-cooperative, which came out last year.
Yep. Yes, it was well received in our group. We played it, and that semi-cooperative element is really good. It's cooperative is good, but that's this thing that you have to fulfill your own secret objectives that makes it a little bit more interesting, don't you think?
Yeah, there are some semi-co-ops out there.
Yeah.
It was quite big a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
I remember we had quite a few Kickstarters fulfill at once that was semi-cooperative.
Yeah.
And there's a range of how they do it, and there's a range of how well it works. Like sometimes it's everyone has to... And a lot of the times it's everyone has to meet a collective objective.
Yeah.
And then if you do, whoever gets the most points wins.
Yeah.
And it varies on how difficult it is to meet that collective objective and how the game sort of flows that way. And I think this one really hits the balance nicely.
Yeah.
I do think the couple of times we played it, we may have... I think things on the balance of probabilities went fairly well for us.
Yeah.
But even so, you know, we had to do the work, particularly to clear guards out of space. So, I mean, with the game, the sheriff's guards are filling up the spaces, and the king is taking all the tax money.
Yeah.
And if the sheriff ever overflows guards too much, or if the king ever takes all the money from a certain location, then everyone loses. And most of the actions that you're doing in the game are going to help towards those objectives anyway, and I think that's what makes it a good semi-co-op. You're doing the things that will help the team win the game, and you're gaining points for it. So it's not as if the two are working
against each other. It's basically the same direction, but it's just slightly modified. So you can see that if your friends just trying to do something, oh, hang on, why are you doing this? Is that your secret objectives?
Yeah.
That's usually the case.
Yeah, where it influences your own game is subtle.
Yeah.
and there's enough that you can sort of accuse each other of things, but then at the same time, it's not a traitor with an accusation game.
Yep.
It's everyone's sort of playing for themselves, and there's a little bit of luck with some die rolling on
Yep.
some weapons things, and
Yep.
a bit of pusher luck, and
Yep.
it all sort of blends together and still has a very nice Euro feel.
Just have to remember towards the end of the game, you have to look at your objectives card and go to that place. What is it called?
Either put money on certain roads
Yep.
or... Oh, no, sorry, you mean go to
The
the
objectives.
Crusades.
Yeah, the Crusade. So
Yeah,
you
lots
have
of
to do that.
Crusades.
It is a little... reminds me of Anachrony, where you have to... do not miss that last bit that gets you a lot of victory points towards the end of the game. So what I like about this game, the artwork, obviously by the Miko, and the components are really good, including the double layered player board. So that's really good. So you put all the pieces in there. So if you move it a little bit, it tends to stay rather than moving around. So that's a really good addition to it. What I not really particular, like obviously for some reason I think I tend to have bad dice roll, so I think the bad dice roll doesn't really help much, although that there's the wine token that you can use to actually help with the bad dice roll.
Yeah, always good when you can mitigate
Yes.
mitigate a bad die roll,
Yep.
which is, I mean, stepping back to Rise to Nobility, it's heavily dependent on die rolls.
Yep. That's actually
But
correct, yeah.
you've
But
got
this,
plenty of control over it, so
Yes.
it does that really nicely.
Yeah. So every time I hear a game with dice roll, I have to wait a minute. Let's just see how dependent it is on the die roll luck base. Is there any, mitigations on the dice roll? But this seems to be fine.
Yep.
So now that brings us to
The next game, Coloma.
Coloma. It is currently on Kickstarter, created by Jonathan Pack Cantin.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, we have the videos on all of these: Rise to Nobility, Robin Hood and the Merry Men, and Coloma. So we'll put the link to the descriptions as well for those videos. So, Coloma,
The new game.
the new game. I'll let you share your thoughts first, and then I'll share mine.
Yeah, so Coloma it's good. I definitely enjoyed it. It's how will I?
Okay, let me say it first then.
Okay, you go.
Okay. It is about 1849 gold rush in, Coloma, California. We players are pioneers trying to settle and expand and prospecting for the gold. Game plays 1 to 5 players. It has mechanics such as simultaneous action selection, worker placement, and hand management. Coloma is designed by Jonathan Pack Cantin, with David Perci of Anachrony, Teotihuacan, and a few other games developing the solo rules. The awesome artwork was done by the Miko. This is still a prototype copy, so rules and art may not be final. In Coloma, game goes for 3 rounds, with 5 turns each round. Players start their turn by selecting 1 of 5 actions available in simultaneous action selection style. There are some consequences when too many players selecting the same action. There is also an action that is covered each round when the wheel turns, forcing player unable to take certain actions on certain turns. There are many ways to score points, and you've got to watch out for your opponents as well before they take your points away. You can build buildings, build camps, fighting the outlaws are some of the actions. You can build your engine to make your action more powerful. Towards the end of the game, the escalation would cause players to select benefit for victory points rather than in-game bonus. Players with the most victory points wins. When I finished playing Coloma, my thought was like, oh my god, there's so many other things I want to do. How about this? How about that? So it's a mid-length Euro game that is not too short, that it's not too long. Well, maybe too short, but I think it's just right to finish at the end for the balance of the game. But when I finish it, I feel like, oh my god, I want to try again. I want to try differently this time. I want to try this instead of that. I want to try this and this and this. So when I finish playing it, it makes me want to play more. Does it make sense? It's like, oh, okay, I want to try this time next round. It's the simultaneous action selection part is it's different. So you can either just you can either just do it as you need, or you can try to look at your opponents, just try to find out what you think they're gonna do. So try to do the things that they're not gonna do. Or I think it's also can be played with table talk, as Johnny, the designer himself, said that if you want to play that way, you could just say, oh, I want to do this action number 5, or you can pretend, or things like that. That is also allowed. It depends, it allows a sort of like a different type of plays depending on your group. So that part I really like. And there's different ways of scoring points as well. Like, you don't want to miss out on the sheriff. If you watch our playthrough, I forgot that I have to put my dudes in the outlaws, it's not sheriff, sorry, on the outlaw space. Hideout, sorry, the hideout space. So that cost me 2 dudes gone.
The dudes were gone.
Yeah, -2.
The outlaws got them.
Yes, the outlaw got some. That outlaws. So you can build bridges and rivers. You can build buildings. A lot of people, I feel like, go towards the building strategy. You can focus on building your camps as well. I should stop talking. You go.
Yeah, it's got that really rapid feel.
Yeah.
You only get 15 turns in the game.
Yes.
The turns are pretty quick, and you do have to spend a lot of it gathering the different sorts of resources that you need. The game I always compare it with is Gugong, which came out, was it late last year, I think?
Yeah.
It had a very successful Kickstarter.
Yeah.
It's got a very similar pacing to it.
Yeah.
So it's over quite quickly.
Yeah.
It feels like it's over quite quickly. And you've got to look wherever you can to find the little extra actions that will get you more of your dudes and the various other resources.
Yeah.
And so it's a nice sort of game that, and I think, I found that with Gugong as well, and Coloma, what you said there, because it played through quite quickly, and it was pretty natural to see where there's 5 or 6, I think it was 6 options that you had, where they were and how you could go about them in differently or in a different order, because a lot of it's about the order. You actually, the game couldn't go any longer because you would run out of things to do.
Okay.
And it's almost as if you're achieving 70% of everything the game allows you to achieve. And Gugong had this same feel.
Yeah.
You go out there to achieve 70% of what is possible to achieve. And your question is, what order you do it in?
Yeah.
And which bits do you not do?
Yes.
And how does that squeeze the most points? And then tying into that is the fact that you're optimizing what you're doing by not doing what everyone else is doing in the simultaneous selection bits. So it's nice. It plays in. And
you actually won that time, the first time we played. Not that winning is everything to us. We just enjoy games, winning or not winning.
Yep. Yes, I built 4 bridges and got a lot of end game bridge points.
That's correct. Yeah, you get a lot of points. That's the thing as well. There's these escalations towards the end of the game, so at a certain point you probably want to start to build up more. I think building the river would be a suitable beginning or early game plan. Just building the rivers and surveying the rivers and getting those bonuses when you build the rivers. And then towards the end of the game, then you just build the bridges over the rivers. So that's our review of Coloma. Every time the next game comes out, so when Nobility was out, I was like, oh my god, Nobility is so good. And then the next one, Robin Hood and the Merryman, oh my god, now this is my favorite. Now Coloma is my favorite. It doesn't mean that I don't like the other ones, but I don't know. Probably I just think that the other one's still good, but I feel like it's getting better and better.
Yeah. I think this is It's a very playable game, and I
Yep.
think it's got a strong market it can go into because it plays. It'll happily play medium to heavy people. I think.
Yep.
And it plays pretty quick. So.
Yep. So that's our reviews of Robin Hood and the Merry Men, Rise to Nobility, and Coloma. If you like to get the games or link to the Kickstarter, live Kickstarter currently, I'll put that in the descriptions below. And if you like this video, please let us know by hitting the like buttons. Write your comment sections, anything that you'd like to say to us in the comment sections below.
And finally, if you'd like to be among the first to know what's new from us, to see more of Stella's Tabletop Diaries, please consider subscribing to our channel. You can click on the Meeple up in the corner to do so. Hit the bell, ding ding ding, for notifications, and
That's it.
that's it.
Yep.
You'll be happy after that.
Hopefully you enjoy this video, and until next week.